right, it's time for example 3. Take a look. On the y-axis, we have the word words, and on the x-axis, we have the word minutes. So x represents minutes and y represents words. The first thing we do to find unit rate is we need to choose a point on the graph. Before we do that, I want to talk to you about the fact that not everything on the y-axis is labeled. Same with the x-axis, not everything is labeled. And we want to know how much each one of these tally marks is equivalent to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color in this rectangle right here. And that lines up with the first tally mark. Then I'm going to color in the second rectangle. And that goes with the second tally mark. Then I'll color in the third rectangle, which goes with the third tally mark. And then I'm going to use the same color for the last rectangle as I did for the first rectangle. And the last rectangle goes with the tally mark. That marks the 20. So hopefully you can see here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. Or you could think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4 tally marks. It takes 4 rectangles or 4 tally marks to get to the 20 marking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 20 and divide it evenly by 4. So I divide it into 4 pieces or 4 rectangles. 20 divided by 4 is equal to 5 because 5 times 4 is 20. So that means that each one of these tally marks is going to equal 5. Let me label. So the first tally mark is going to be 5, the second 10, the third 15, and then you can see that the 20, the last tally mark, the fourth tally mark, is already labeled 20 for you. So now we know that each of those values is going to be equal to 5. So if I wanted to know the marking here, I would just add 5, because one rectangle above the 20, there's this tally mark, and that tally mark would represent 25 because each little square or rectangle is worth 5. If you look down here at the x-axis, directly between 0 and 1 is 1/2. You could also mark this as 0.5, which is also equivalent to 0.5, however you want to write it. So that means that this marking, since it's between 1 and 2, is 1.5. So each one of these rectangles on the x-axis is going to be worth a half a point. So if you're counting on the x-axis, you would say 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.55. Now that we've talked about the x and y axis, let's choose a point along the grid. Remember, this is not going to be a good point to choose. Think about it. That's going to be difficult to accurately say what the x value is. The y value, it looks to be 40. But down here for the x value, I don't know if that's 2.6 or 2.7 or 2.8 or 2.75. So you don't want to choose a point like that. I've also seen a lot of students where they come up here and they say, oh, here's a point that I can use. This point you should not use because this point is not along this line. You need a point that is actually along the line. So let's actually try to grab a point that we can use. I would say this point right here. That's one option for us. And then if you're trying to figure out what value this is, this would be 45 because it's just one rectangle above the 40, and we knew that each tally mark was worth 5. So that's 45. And then the x value is 3. So we can label our point 3:45. Remember, unit rate, another name for it is constant proportionality. You can also use the letter K. And the formula for unit rate is K equals Y divided by X. I'm going to fill in the Y value first. The Y value goes in the numerator. It's 45. And the X value is 3. That goes in the denominator. And I want to remember to put in my units. So the Y value goes with the word words. Oh, whoops. Let me go back. Words. I'll write it over here so you can see it better. It's going to go off the page. And then the X value goes with the word minutes. And I hope you remember that in between, we write the word per. I think of the fraction bar as the word per. I also think of it as a division symbol. So this would be words per minute. When you take 45 and you divide it by 3, let's see what we end up getting. 3 goes into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. We subtract, we get a remainder of 1. You bring down the 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. You subtract and you get a remainder of 0, and there's nothing else to bring down, so you know that you're finished. Some of you already knew that 45 divided by 3 is 15. I'm just showing this method in case there's someone who forgot what 45 divided by 3 is equivalent to. So the answer is 15, and we're going to record 15 words per minute. I just literally write the things that I've already written. I wrote words, I wrote per, I wrote minute, and then I fill it in up above. So the unit rate here is 15 words per minute.